welcome. You are watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, the Prime Minister dedicated the Mahakal corridor at Ujjain Mahakal Mandir to people of India. Before the inauguration, he performed puja and aarti inside the world-famous temple. This is the fourth Jyotirlinga that has been renovated or beautified by this government since 2014. First, it was Somnath, then Kashi, Kedarnath Dham, and now Mahakaleshwar. But the message is bigger, that of shedding diffidence about Hindu culture and celebrating it openly. Today, the Prime Minister also spoke of how India is confidently striding forward, talking about its heritage, displaying and celebrating its heritage to the world, reclaiming its civilizational pride and shedding the remnants of possible colonial guilt.
आप यहाँ आएंगे तो महाकाल के दर्शन के साथ ही आपको महाकाल की महिमा और महत्व के भी दर्शन होंगे। हमारे ज्योतिर्लिंगों का ये विकास भारत की आध्यात्मिक ज्योति का विकास है, भारत के ज्ञान और दर्शन का विकास है। भारत का ये सांस्कृतिक दर्शन एक बार फिर शिखर पर पहुंचकर विश्व के मार्गदर्शन के लिए तैयार हो रहा है। उज्जैन जैसे हमारे स्थान खगोल विज्ञान, एस्ट्रोनॉमी से जुड़े शोधों के शीर्ष केंद्र रहे हैं। आज नया भारत जब अपने प्राचीन मूल्यों के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है तो आस्था के साथ साथ विज्ञान और शोध की परंपराओं को भी पुनर्जीवित कर रहा है। ये न भूले, जहां इनोवेशन है वहीं पर रिनोवेशन भी है। हमने गुलामी के कालखंड में जो खोया, आज भारत उसे रिनोवेट कर रहा है। अपने गौरव की, अपने वैभव की पुनर्स्थापना हो रही है। भाइयों और बहनों, किसी राष्ट्र का सांस्कृतिक वैभव इतना विशाल तभी होता है जब उसकी सफलता का परचम विश्व पटल पर लहरा रहा होता है। और सफलता के शिखर तक पहुंचने के लिए भी ये जरूरी है कि राष्ट्र अपने सांस्कृतिक उत्कर्ष को छुए। इसलिए आजादी के अमृत काल में भारत ने गुलामी की मानसिकता से मुक्ति और अपनी विरासत पर गर्व जैसे पंच प्राण का आह्वान किया है।
By the way, such focus has been limited not just to the Jyotirlings. Over the years, the Prime Minister has bucked the trend of shying away from an overt display of religiosity. Whether it was overseeing the rebuilding of the Kedarnath Dham after the 2013 devastation there, to the construction of all-weather Char Dham roads linking the four holy sites of Gangotri, Kedarnath, Yamunotri, Badrinath, to the restoration of temples even in Jammu and Kashmir. And of course, the Bhumi Pujan at the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. It's all part of a grand civilizational project, but it is not without its set of heartburn. Credit was and the propriety of a secular state associating with a religion in particular, but the most recurrent question always remains: can a developing country like India afford a temple project to talk about civilization, to talk about reviving its religion, its ancient culture, when other issues should be priority?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, Lokesh Jindal, political analyst, advocate Abhishek Sudhir, spokesperson of Tiranga Shakha, Kamar Zaman Chaudhary, leader of the Congress, Hindol Sen Gupta, historian and author. But my first question is Shehzad Poonavala, national spokesperson of the BJP. Why does India in 2022 need a Mahakal corridor?
First of all, Jai Mahakal to everybody. And this is not just about one Shiv temple being renovated. This is about the revitalization and rejuvenation of the great Indian civilization and our ancient symbols of our civilization. And we can't know, as Hindol said it rightly on another show, and I'm picking up his phrase, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been from or where you come from. The greater the heights that you want to achieve, the deeper your roots need to be. So what is wrong if we are reconnecting and actually rejuvenating symbols of our Indian civilizational past? And by the way, if you wear a topi, even if you don't have any faith in iftar and roza, and you go out, that is secular. But if you put a tripund and you celebrate what is your Indian civilization, it becomes communal. If you say first right of resources of this country belong to one community, that is secular. But if you do a project which has multi-dimensional aspects, it's not just about the rejuvenation of a Hindu Astha symbol, but also rejuvenates the entire city, its economy, tourism, then that becomes communal. You know, this kind of attitude was the reason behind why Nehru called the redevelopment of the Somnath Mandir as Hindu revivalism. This was the entire same vote bank politics because of which we saw Ayodhya ji being allowed to go on for 70 years without the Ram Mandir being built there, and the entire politics that played around it by the Congress party. This is the reason why Kedarnath was ignored after the Uttarakhand tragedy in 2013, and you know, the Congress had a state government, still they did not do what was required there. Badrinath was ignored, Somnath was ignored, Ayodhya was ignored. And it is not just about temples, it is also under the Prasad scheme. If you see, the development of the Juma Masjid has been done, Ajmer has been done, there has also been development of St. Thomas's Shrine, there has been development of all kinds of religious and other civilizational projects. So what is the harm if this is being done? And most importantly, India is at the stage where we are not only influencing the world because of our economic power, but also because of our soft civilizational power. Shouldn't a country which claims to be one of the greatest democracies also go back to its roots and develop its civilizational aspects?
Kamarzaman Chaudhary, can anyone deny that temples in India are a part of our ancient civilization? To make them better, to make them more beautiful, to reclaim it, to show them to the world and say, yes, this is our civilization, we are proud of it. Temples along with, of course, places of worship or all other religions as well. Kamarzaman Chaudhary.
No, Padmaja, the point is that, the temples you go on renovating, there is no end to it, because India is known for land of temples. But the basic point now is that 800 plus crores that has been spent for this particular Mahakal corridor that the Bharatiya Janata Party government is spending out there, whose money is that? The first question that anybody will be asking, is it the money siphoned out from the tourism fund, from the culture ministry, from the development of the smart cities? If it is for the smart cities, then there are another 99 plus cities which needed to be developed on the same lines. Plus, you have got 80 crore people of India's population which are receiving free 5 kg rations till now. With this 800 plus crores, you would have developed at least 900 kilometers of roads in India. This is a pure propaganda.
Sir,
and second
with the
point,
greatest of respect, going by your logic, then we should demolish the Taj Mahal and make a housing project there for lower income group people. This is like saying, oh, there is so much land being wasted for the Qutub Minar. What purpose is serving? यहाँ पे आप high rise बना दो 25 माले का, वहाँ पे 25,000 families रहेंगी.
Logic, Padmaja?
Why then have heritage at all? Let's demolish everything.
What is the logic out here, Padmaja?
What is the logic of having the Taj Mahal? You're just looking at it. It's basically marble.
We are proud of our history.
Stop looking at the Taj Mahal. Look at a photo.
The point that you just want to put it out here, let me put it in a better way. There are people, you know, the point that I want to put out across, let me just 10 more seconds. The same people who criticized when Hajj subsidy was provided to the Hajj pilgrims, the same set of people they criticized when Imams and Muazzins received a salary from, but all from the Waqf board's funds.
Okay,
now
where is the money coming from?
Now I'm particularly,
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and
now you've completed what you've said. Let me come in.
Okay, fine. Where is the money coming from? Why is the public money being wasted on this? Is pretty much the essence of your argument. Please let Shehzad Poonavala reply, then I really must bring in Hindol Sen Gupta. Yes, go on.
You know, I am not surprised by the
majority appeasement.
Can you please have the basic courtesy to listen, Mr. Kamarzaman Chaudhary? You've made your point.
Yes, go on.
You know, I'm not surprised.
Go on.
Your attitude is more kadwa than your words. Now, if you hear what the words he used, he said siphoned off. Now, let me ask him that temples, and most of the temples are under state control, and you would know that states actually take the temple funds and use it on all kinds of purposes, including for building roads, building hospitals, which cater to everybody. Whereas the Waqf incomes go exclusively for only Muslim purposes, for Waqf, maybe a school or maybe a hospital or maybe what other concerns they have for their own community. Has the Hindu community ever asked that why are my funds being spent like this, or which are my temple funds? Now this is the kind of double standards they have. And secondly, when a Kashi Dham is developed, when a Ayodhya Ji is developed, one second sir, now please let me complete.
Let's not yell over each other, we'll come back to
or when the Mahakal corridor is developed, the entire city gets a facelift, the entire city's infrastructure gets upgraded, and because of that, now in this case I was hearing Priya's report that more than double of the tourists will be arriving in Ujjain. Who will those people employ when they come? Will it only be one community people? Will the taxi drivers, will the people who have shops, restaurants, hotels and other establishments not get jobs because of the increased tourism?
But here is where I differ, and I want to bring in Hindol and Gupta. Should every such project be treated as some kind of, seed capital that you have to look for return on investment? That, oh, this temple must be made only because it's giving people jobs. Isn't there a larger purpose to this renovation and construction, Hindol?
No, of course, undoubtedly. I mean, it is a rather facile and a silly thing to say that, well, why are we spending so much money in rejuvenating this temple? So what if it's really ancient? So what if it was one of our greatest centers of learning, not just in India, but in the ancient world? So what that before the Greenwich Meridian, there was once an Ujjain Meridian that everybody in the world understood and knew? So what if the decimal system really originated from this place called Ujjain? Why must we renovate it? Why must we keep it properly? Because of course we're Indians, we're stupid, we must discard all our heritage, all our spirituality, and only think on how we can get return on investment on every single penny. That's a rather facile and stupid way of looking at it. I don't think that's correct, Padmaja. I really think we should look at these things as really, a sense that they really bring a certain cultural rejuvenation to a country which is now about to take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. We are now the 5th largest economy in the world. We'll soon be the 3rd largest economy. We need a certain cultural, image in the world. We need a certain cultural dimension to our rise. And this dimension can only happen by looking at our past and reinvigorating our past. If we fail to invest in it, then we will just be one more also ran nation who maybe made some money. That makes no sense. This is a ridiculous way of looking at it. No country, please understand, if you look at the history, no country in the world has ever risen without a combination of cultural confidence and economics. This is the cultural confidence part.
Lokesh Jindal, we are at a point where in the UK, you've got members of parliament going around saying we must celebrate the British Raj. They don't even have a culture per se. They are saying we will celebrate the empire, which slaughtered millions, which beggared countries, which colonized different nations. We are saying, why are we renovating this temple? Why don't we just let it, remain in squalor and filth? Why? Why don't you want to be proud of what you have? Every country does it.
Good evening, Padmaja. Padmaja, do you know why we were colonized? We got colonized because our society had become too much stagnant in superstition, and it had not modernized the manner in which Europe got modernized. Rationality was not the characteristic of our society. That was the reason why we got colonized. It's important that the society bears certain ethos, way of thinking, via which it modernizes, develops and progresses itself. Now, this particular temple corridor, it was the brainchild of Congress. Let me give you an instance. It was Kamal Nath ji on 19th of August. This is a news report which states that 300 crore से संवरेगा राजा का दरबार, विकास और विस्तार की योजना पर सीएम कमल नाथ ने किया मंथन. So it's not that the Congress is against this particular form of preserving our rich cultural heritage. but only focusing upon our rich cultural heritage and turning a blind eye to modernity, to reason, towards what the nation is progressing towards. Okay, I agree that there were astronomical.
So because the Mahakal corridor has been made, all of us have dropped out of college and we are sitting at home unlettered. Because Mahakal corridor has been made, suddenly all our satellites have crashed to the ground.
The point is,
and science and computers have been smashed to bits. How are the two mutually exclusive?
The point is trying to claim that whatever astronomy we have today was the outcome of Ujjain observatory, or trying to condemn that it was
who said that?
Who gave math to the world, and trying to glorify the ancient Raj at the cost of the present future.
Okay, there are two parts to your argument. I will let Hindol and Gupta address the first part about colonialism and how, because we are so backward and dirty, we got colonized, and the second about Kamal Nath being the real reason this has been done. Shehzad Poonavala will answer. Yes, Hindol and Gupta.
You know, that is so ridiculous that my mic actually muted itself, I think. You know, this is ridiculous. We were colonized because before our colonizers came, there was another really many hundred years of invasions in our country that broke the back of the country, which led to the British finally coming and colonizing us. Really, to suggest that we got colonized because we had temples and we were also superstitious, we were all hiding in temples, that is the most facile and the most historical thing I've ever heard in any television debate I've ever had the misfortune of going to. That is ridiculous. Really, this makes no sense. The point is, even today, I mean, Ujjain, forget the science. Ujjain, you want to talk about culture and literature. Ujjain is the home of Kalidas, for crying out loud. I mean, Ujjain is one of the greatest sites of our civilization as far as culture, as far as literature is concerned. Kalidas, for crying out loud, came from Ujjain. So, you know, these kinds of arguments really make no sense.
And this, by the way, is the same bunch of people who get terribly upset when you say, oh, you can explore Hindi as a link language in states where Hindi is the spoken language, and they say, no, English should be the main language in our country, and now you're talking about colonization, now about Kamal Nath. From colonization to Kamal Nath.
Just a line on colonization. So is Mr. Lokesh Jindal trying to suggest that there were some missionaries on a project to revive us and to revive our societies, and they came here with the noble intention to actually contribute? Colonizers and invaders went where they found wealth and richness, and yes, India was a center of economy, was a center of learning, India was a center of activity. That's why these forces came here to loot and to take away that loot back home. So they did not come here because we were backward to make us forward. This is the most inferiority complex driven argument I've ever heard, but that's not the real point. Let me come to the other point, Kamal Nath's contributions. Let me complete, Mr. Jindal, please, let's not have this play. You speak when you have an opportunity. Let me complete my point. But let me complete my point, sir. You can speak what you want, but at least have courtesy to allow another person to complete.
Just before you go to Kamal Nath, let me, since you spoke of colonization, by the way, India is one of the very few British colonies which retained its original religion, sir. There were many other colonies in Africa who were completely turned Christian. India remained a country with a large Hindu population because of this civilization, which you think is completely not needed at this point. Please go on.
Now, as far as Kamal Nath and the Congress party trying to seek credit for this, first of all, the entire project was conceptualized after Prime Minister Modi came into governance in 2014. In 2016, the DPR was created in 2017, 2018. It was tendered for, and even the money was allocated and the work was implemented and done all under Shivraj Singh Chauhan government. In fact, the Congress only stonewalled it, just like they stonewalled Somnath. You remember what Nehru said? Hindu revivalism for Somnath Mandir being rebuilt. You know what the Congress said for Ayodhya ji? They said that for 70 years they first latkawed it. They said Ramji does not exist. They gave an affidavit to that extent, and then the lawyer went to court saying that it should be postponed for after the elections. And Kedarnath, 2013, when the Uttarakhand floods came, what did you do to revive and rejuvenate Kedarnath? Nothing, until the BJP government came in the center and the BJP government came into the state. Then Badrinath, the Char Dham roads. No, one second, sir. Now let me explain to you. You tell me how many mandirs you vandalized, mandirs which were there in Jammu Kashmir, which were put into complete disuse by the Islamists out there. How many of those mandirs did you revive when you had the opportunity between 2004 to 14? You did nothing. And finally, Kamruzaman Chaudhary ji. अरे कमरुज़मान चौधरी जी, आपको इतना दुख हो रहा है कि हम अपने सिविलाइजेशनल पास्ट को जा रहे हैं। आपने तो अपने नाम से अभी तक अपना सिविलाइजेशनल पास्ट नहीं हटाया है। चौधरी कोई इस्लामिक सरनेम तो है नहीं, आप अपना सरनेम भी चौधरी रखे हुए हैं क्योंकि आपको अपनी हेरिटेज, अपनी सिविलाइजेशन पर इतना गर्व है। और आप देश जब अपनी सिविलाइजेशन पर गर्व मनाता है, इंडोनेशिया में मुसलमान है बहुसंख्यक, पर आज भी उनके प्रतीक जो है, उनके राष्ट्र प्रतीक जो है, उसमें श्री राम दिखते हैं। उनकी करेंसी नोट से लेकर उनके विमान तक वहां पर रामायण के चिन्ह दिखते हैं। और यहां पर कुछ लोग हैं जो अयोध्या जी, जो राम जी, जो कृष्ण जी, जो शिव जी को मानने से इनकार करते हैं।
Okay, very quick rebuttal from Lokesh Jindal. And since you mentioned Kashmir, by the way, I want to play these images of how a Mahaganesh temple has been reopened after 33 years in North Kashmir. This was a temple that was set on fire by terrorists in 2006. And after all of this time, it was first demolished, then it was again set on fire in 2006, and finally after 33 years, it has finally got an active puja happening. Yes, quick response from Lokesh Jindal, and I want to bring in Abhishek Sudhi. Yes, go on.
See, all I want to say is Hinduism, the glory of Hinduism is not in simply erecting huge monuments and display of awe and grandeur. The entire essence of Hinduism in Newshour Agenda, where Aranyaka and Upanishad, they had their essence in simplicity, in Vairag. It talked about Aham Brahmasmi, it talked about the universe within Sarva Sarva Dharma Sambhava.
Okay, so name two things that were done in the past government to just popularize the Upanishads. You are saying, okay, temples are incidental, the Upanishads is where the essence of our civilization lies. What was done to popularize the Upanishads by the UPA government?
To our political ends.
Sir, sure, by all means, celebrate whatever part you want.
Wonderful religion that we have inherited.
What did the UPA government do to popularize the Upanishads? Was there any Vedic study done? Was there any scholarship set up for the study of Upanishads? What was done?
Let me answer, madam. The Kalidas University in Revamped was the outcome of the Congress government. The Congress government during its time period, it had introduced various forms of funds. In fact, Deccan Education Society, it came out with a Sanskrit dictionary so as to translate the entire Upanishad and ancient text into English so as to make it available for the people at large. That is one of the greatest lexicon dictionaries in the world. So
okay, let Hindol Sen Gupta come in on this. To pretend that this is happening only for the last 8 years would be disingenuous. This has been an ongoing project, government after government. Hindol Sen Gupta.
No, I first want to answer this point about Hinduism is not about temples. Again, like this really is the evening where I must hear every ridiculous nonsense. Are you kidding me? Hinduism's entire point is that there are sacred sites. We are a sacred geography. These sites are fundamental to Hinduism. What are we even talking about? And yes, are we going through a long-range cultural revolution, a cultural renaissance, a Hindu renaissance? Of course, there have been bits and pieces before also. Who's to deny that? But it is undeniable that in the last decade, because we have come to a particular point in our history, there is an overarching coming together, a confluence of forces, whether it's political, whether it's social, whether it's cultural, whether it's academic, whether it's economic, which are coming together to enable us to look at our own past, to look at our own civilization, because I underline, we are a civilizational state. We are not a Westphalian nation state. We are a civilizational state, and this is core to who we are.
And Abhishek Sudhi, there was a slogan in the Ram Mandir entire movement, Garv se kaho hum Hindu hain. Now, in a sense, you see it in play, where people are being told this is your reclamation of your heritage, and there is no need to be embarrassed or diffident about it. What's wrong with that?
Padmaja, you've come to me last, so just give me some time. I want to make a few comments which are going to irk Shehzad Poonavala, so please urge him to exercise restraint, and I will hear him out without interrupting him, as long as he does me the same courtesy. Shehzad Poonavala opened the debate by saying Jai Mahakal. Now, Shehzad Poonavala bought in the religion of another panelist, so it is only fair that we talk about him as well and his past. right, in the Constitution Club of India, this very same Shehzad Poonavala referred to Narendra Modi as a Hindu majoritarian leader, and on Twitter, he tweeted that Narendra Modi is Desi Hitler. What has changed for Shehzad Poonavala? Shehzad Poonavala has seen the direction in which the winds are blowing. Shehzad Poonavala, who is not a Hindu, mind you, accuses Lokesh Jindal and me and people like us of being anti-Hindu. A non-Hindu saying we are anti-Hindu. So I said don't interrupt. Padmaja, you need to anchor the show. Padmaja, you need to anchor the show. Padmaja, you need to anchor the show. Padmaja,
Thank you very much. I am anchoring the show, but since you have claimed that he is not a Hindu, you're saying I am Hindu.
Give me 30 seconds. You have to give me 30 seconds.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. Let me speak.
Give me 30 seconds.
Yes.
You have to give me 30 seconds.
Go on, 30 seconds, yes.
Shehzad Poonawala's Twitter bio says, Shehzad Poonawala's Twitter bio says, my religion is Islam, my way of life is Hinduism. Okay, he has said that. Now, Shehzad Poonawala, what gives you the right to question me, a Hindu, born a Hindu, I will die a Hindu, about my credentials for Hinduism? You are using my religion for your political career and your political advancement.
This is not about you or Shehzad Poonawala or me or anyone else. We are debating a larger question, sir, that what is the objective of this entire project? It is not about whether Shehzad Poonavala believes in it or whether he will go to Mahakal or he will do the Aarti or he can say Jai Mahakal. It is about what is the intention and objective. Anyhow, on that note, because this is going completely off track, the simple point is that to celebrate one's heritage, one's civilization and one's religion is in no way to show down or deny anyone else's. And if in our country we can celebrate the Taj Mahal for decades and decades as the symbol of Indian civilization, there is no reason we cannot do the same for Mahakaleshwar as well. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining me.